The buyer wants to change my right eye, but I pull it off without hesitation, and say expressionless that there is no refund. Boar monster can't tell how good I am for a while. Finally he decides to put back his own pig's eye. I reach up for my own glasses and put them back on. Then I smile back at him. Now, don't be afraid to get a little rough. Butcher Hog just smirks at this, like he's watching me sterilize a straight razor. His voice began to tremble. An eyeball requires a knife? I calmly replied that I just examined your eye socket, and there were some sizable stones and some blood clots inside. That's why. You don't usually protect your own eyes. This step counts as an extra service from me. It's too late to sharpen a big golden egg on a pig's head. Then he let out a heartbreaking scream. And I only did this to stay alive. After all, this is a world without sun. A world of only darkness. And here exist vampires, werewolves, ghosts, and zombies. All the terrifying elements an evildoer could imagine. They flow through this world like blood. As an apprentice at a common apothecary like this, I need to keep calm at all times. If I feel a sliver of fear, I'll be swallowed by the darkness. This is my conclusion after wandering for 2.5 years in this world. Conclusion. Looking at the system notification in front of me, I can't help but lament that I finally awakened. Cheat. The first task is to let me hang the soul lamp outside, but the first thing to do is not to dwell on those matters. I have to complete the teacher's order before me, or I will certainly die. He was the one who saved my life 2.5 years ago, and you taught me medicine. When I opened the door, countless eyes peered out from the darkness. I lit a soul lamp with my own blood, using blood matches. The demons and monsters around me began to dissipate. The drugstore opens on time, and the system's task is completed at the same time. But the first customer, unexpectedly, is a scavenger. They are merchants who walk in the dark. I gave him my useless trash, and gained the scavenger's favor. But who could have known that he would directly insert his fingers into his own eyes, giving me his eyeballs as payment? Although it was a bit frightening, nor did I refuse. Having lived here so long, I've also learned some rules for survival. Never offend the ones who walk in darkness. Into the house, I began going through the code, and I wrote my own framework. That looked sort of like a game engine. And my mentor Bloodshot was going to be out of town for 3 days. During this period, I became the manager of the pharmacy. Those with money pay with money. Those without money, an equivalent exchange. If I meet a customer who's unwilling to pay, I'll use this backup knife to slit. The most important thing is not to go out at night no matter what. I know these past few days have been difficult to deal with. Unexpectedly, as soon as the teacher left, the doorbell rang. It was a little girl. Let me help her fix the doll. The little girl in front of me is a ghost who has killed countless people. As long as I show a hint of fear, she will hug me and lift me high. For this reason, I have to bury all my emotions deep inside, behaving like a doctor. I looked at the little girl who looked hungry. I guessed that she had swallowed her doll's hand. I asked her if her stomach had been uncomfortable recently, other than her monthly period. He felt his stomach itching. Then that should be right. The doll's arm hasn't been digested yet. Do you want to go straight to surgery or physiotherapy? Surgery is simple, just cutting open your belly. Just take out the arm and stitch it. The girl asked weakly. What about physical therapy? That's even easier. Just take it out and you're done. It was also cheap. In the end, he still chose physical therapy. Then would you like to check her from above or below? The girl was so scared of the way I looked that she trembled and pleaded for us to reschedule our appointment. This is not right. If you come in the store, you have to see a doctor. That's the rule here. Otherwise, you have to leave something behind. In the end, he decided to yield to life. I thought about it. It's better to take it out from above. Then he opened his cherry mouth. It stinks worse than a madman's mouth. To prevent this guy from biting my hand off, held his upper and lower jaws in place, then started to move the arms. Suddenly reached into the little girl's mouth. Girl's eye opened wide. Body starts to fight. I held him down immediately and said it will be fine soon. Then I started searching his stomach with my hands. There was some hair and an ear that I don't know whose, until I caught hold of something that was still moving. That was it. Suddenly pull it out. Rinse it quickly. Disinfect it. Young people should eat less of these weird things. Otherwise it will be hard to digest. Next time you sew something, I want you to hold the doll. He looked at the cold light in my eyes, and screamed. I reassured him. After all, this is my first surgery. It could be completed within a few minutes, but I always feel it's not perfect. So take it apart, keep sewing and mending. In addition to the unknown things I've done, it will return to normal in no more than a week. The doll quickly threw itself into the girl's arms, looking at me trembling and scared. Obviously, I've left an enduring impression on him. I clap my hands. This treatment will cost you 110 skull coins. The girl removes the collar from her mouth in a daze. Her hands fumble around her body. Only 20 skulls. But I don't care. Cause the other 90 skulls. You can mortgage your body. And the process of division, free when you're rich, can drive me crazy. The girl was startled. Took out 10 original smelly skull coins from her shoes. But there's still the $80 gap. Even if she doesn't need the medication, there's still a $20 shortfall. The thought of deferred payment crossed my mind, but I cut him off. Small business, no credit given, or leave your eyeballs behind. I'll even give you 4 extra styles of skull handles. But the girl didn't want to be short on weight herself. She wants to pay with something else. Then blushed. Lifted her skirt. One blow job with me, will that cover it? My face froze. Can a goblin really play like this? Although I'm a pervert, I'm not going to mess with goblins. So I refused him. Don't worry, I only want your right eye. Once you have money, you can still redeem it from me. His fear of me has reached 70%. He pulled out his right eye directly. Successfully obtained the rare item Blood Doll's Eye. After the installation, you can get the absolutely digestive stomach. Dolls and little girls. The fear of me was stretched directly. I sincerely welcome them to visit next time. Unexpectedly, these 2 guys are blind. They said I'm a black shop. The girl sobbed as she walked into the darkness, to find her mother. I have a feeling that we will meet again one day. System task triggered simultaneously. Help the little girl find her mother. To watch someone's unknown ear being taken from her stomach. If we are right, the little girl should have done something more terrifying. But now, it has nothing to do with me. In this weird world, doubloons are the basic currency. Too bad, for 2.5 years, I haven't even left the store. In the dark, countless prying eyes. For someone as powerless as me, going outside is a death wish. The next moment, a huge pig-headed demon walked into the store. It was the owner of the butcher shop next door. It's obvious that I'm no match for him. But with the soul lamp there, once we make a move, I can still subdue it. But we can't rule out those extremely evil guys. After all, the rules are just a joke in their eyes. The rules are made by the strong. Welcome to the Blood Theater's tribute. How can I help you? And at once, my mind remembered the system prompt for the pig demon mission. To help it match a suitable eyeball. Unmoved, I sat at the counter, and quietly tightened my grip on the boning knife. The pig head face's model strode in. The soul lamp flickered. A wave of fishy and bloody smell came over my face, made me have the urge to vomit. The pig head face model sat down on the stool in front of the counter. The smart pig's one remaining eye looked at me. Bloody show, let him come out and give me a new eyeball. I'll offer him the finest game in exchange. I tried to sound calm, and calmly said that teacher had to go out. Got something you can share with me? The oaf grinned for a moment, then turned his head and narrowed his eyes. His gaze fell on me, as if he were sizing up a piece of meat. What kind of eyeball do you want? I silently pointed to the cabinet. Eyes soaked in a century. We have human eyeballs here. Necromancer's eyes, bad eyes, blood doll's eyes. Take your pick. Different eyeballs, different prices. The ogre's eyes twinkle with ferocity, revealing a mouthful of fangs. A rich stench of bad breath rushes towards me. I think your eyeballs seem pretty good. He stuck out his tongue, and licked his dry lips. I turned my head, and looked at him calmly. Stared at by the pig-headed monster brothers. Slowly stretched out 3 fingers, inserted them into his eye sockets right in front of him, and gouged out his right eyeball bit by bit. The system alerted me that my life and organs were failing. A few seconds later, I place my own eyeball in the palm of my hand, and I hand it to him. Piccolo 200 credits. If it doesn't match, no refunds. The ogre was stunned. The seemingly weak human before him was unexpectedly fierce, and when that scavenger gouged out his eye, after a long while of crying out in anguish, he was suspecting a little bit that I might have been changed into a sewn-up monster by the Gorefest. I don't want your eyes. I want my own eyeballs. Casually, I pushed my eyeball back into my socket. Quietly, I sat back in my chair. I put my hand in my pocket. I do have one of those. And right before the pig demon could react, I pulled out of my pocket a huge, still bloody eyeball. The pig's head mask suddenly stood up. He immediately recognized that eyeball. That's the eye an old woman removed from him. But when did his eyeball end up in this human apprentice's boar skin mask? It knows too well. That fearful scavenger, by sheer force, was easily deprived of an eyeball by that scavenger, and if the other party intended to, they must have been able to deprive him of his head with equal ease. Now I am somewhat terrified of him. The cross-town piglet fumbled for a money bag inside his shirt. Okay, I'll buy them. I calmly took the coins and put them in the counter. Then I put my gloves and mask back on. Do you want to operate here? Or follow me to the operating room? Bloody operation room. As long as they are the residents of Ghost Lane, none of them would like to go there. I picked up the razor lightly, leaned against the counter, resting my head on the table. If you fear the pain, you may call out, the pig-head monster said with a grim sneer. I'm afraid of the pain. I took a sip of alcohol and sprayed it on the knife. Back and forth, I roasted the blade over several minutes. Squinting his eyes, he slowly approached the pig's head with a knife in his hand. This made him feel something was wrong. Do you need a knife to install an eyeball? I silently walked over too. Just now I looked at your eye sockets. There are small stones and bruises inside. This shows that you haven't been looking after your eyes properly. This step is a free gift from me. It's too late for the pig's head to mull over the golden egg. Then came heart-wrenching screams of terror. I am so puzzled. Why this time the growth was not in surgical ability, but in knife skills. Don't move. I'm going to install your eyeball now. If you move around, I might install it backwards. But the pig's mouth kept bubbling with white foam. It was clear that he hadn't heard me. It was only then that I realized that I had forgotten to give him the anesthesia. But never mind that. It was time to proceed to the next step. I took out my prized 502 Supermix reagent. Pighead's membranes widened his eyes, regained consciousness. I told him that this stuff works great. Can prevent unexpected eye detachment. But all Pighead wanted now was to finish the transplant as soon as possible. Get out of here. I stir up the sticky potion, and spread it evenly around the edge of the eyeball. Align it, and gently place the eyeball into the eye socket. Then took out a hammer. Pig's Head Mill's voice trembled. What are you doing? Oh geez. I told him not to move around. It's already the last physical procedure. If it goes wrong due to your movements, I'll need to take it out and install it again, which will require another surgery fee. He then presses down on the frightened pig's head, and carefully taps it with the hammer, installing his eyeball bit by bit with utmost concentration. 2.5 minutes later, I froze. Pighead immediately had a bad feeling. I told him it was just installed facing the wrong direction. Pull it out, fix it, and it's done. And there's no charge this time. Without waiting for his reply, she took swift action, pulling off the newly attached and glued. Okay, Big Pig's just pulling it down again. I'm so sorry, guests. This is just a minor medical incident. I won't charge you, no matter how much he screams. It's not a bad thing to be a one-eyed person, because as a doctor, I need to be responsible to you. After finishing the same operation again, he completed the surgery. Senior brother actually pities me, more than anything. Take half of these potions orally, and apply the rest. You should be better in about 2.5 days. Your eyes can initially recover vision. Check out. Including the operation fee is the charge. Nursing care fee, eyeball fee you have already paid. Altogether adds up to 546 skull coins. If there is no problem, then pay up now. He fished a heavy coin purse out of his coat, his hands shaking. He poured over 500 skull-shaped coins onto the counter. He asked if he was free to go now. Of course, you've become worthless. But the next moment, my gaze was drawn to his big, protruding belly. You have triggered the hidden pighead quest. An unusual stomach. I'm sorry, guest. Don't leave. I see something new about your body. If I don't perform diagnostics, could have unknown effects on your body. Piggy snout biting pussy. Don't cheat me. I hate it most when others cheat me. I solemnly state that I am a person with great medical ethics. Jutomo resisted greatly in the end, and sat back on the stool in front of the counter. I put on a mask, and reached out to feel his pulse. Jutomo hesitantly stretched out his bristly arm, placed on the counter. His eyes gradually began to panic. I'm very sorry as a doctor. The problem's neither big nor small. It's neither big nor small. You, as a boar, are pregnant. The next moment, the pig-headed demon roared, and grabbed me by my collar, and angrily lifted me up. What the hell, you quack, are you kidding me? I am a male pig, I calmly told him. He cannot be wrong. Even though you're my second patient. My first patient came in laughing and left crying. I pulled out his medical records and asked him, have you been feeling any abdominal pain recently? Nausea and vomiting? Loss of appetite, such as bleeding in the lower pole? He furiously asked me, how exactly does the bleeding occur below? Please, this patient should not get agitated. Just your average routine checkup. But a few other symptoms did pop up. I still have these notes here. Calmly said, when was your last sexual intercourse? Any bad habits? Or movements of multiple pigs and bad props? The pig's head remains dull, standing still. His arms are shaking constantly, obviously extremely angry about this question. I saw the situation was amiss, and quickly intervened to stop it. I won't ask about that question. Next question. The last time you made it. Feeling the pain like it's tearing me apart. This time, Pighead really couldn't hold it in any longer. He grabbed me by the collar. I've put up with you for long enough. I quickly tried to calm him down. This is just a doctor doing what a doctor has to do. It's all for your well-being. For your own good. Besides, you also want to know what serious illness you have. Well, right now there's only one possibility. You ate something unclean. He suspects that this is surrogate pregnancy. Recently, does it seem like you can't get full no matter what you eat? He has indeed been feeling hungry often lately. Eating like there's no tomorrow won't get rid of the hunger. I pull out a green bottle from under the counter. Pour it into the tub. Smack my hand on it. Put your hand in. If truly evil or otherwise disturbing, this potion may coax forth some truth. Upon determining that it appeared to be harmless, he nevertheless tried to pull his hand away, but he felt he could not. He plunged his limbs into the wooden basin, whereupon the green water in the wooden basin began to bubble, while on his body, there gradually appeared dark smoke, wisp by wisp. He suddenly has a stomachache. A laughing face suddenly protrudes from the belly. I decisively pick up the frying pan next to me. I hit the protruding face with the bottom of the pot. I smash his belly flat. The crying and laughter stopped abruptly. It is initially diagnosed as possession by an evil spirit. It's your lucky day to run into me. He thumped and knelt on the ground. Just now, my attitude was a bit aggressive. Don't take it to heart. If it's really an evil soul, he'd fight it out with weapons. He's not afraid of that. But the evil soul that grows inside his body, so he really had no way out. Calmly, I took out a pen and asked him, can you remember if you've eaten anything unclean? The pig demon trembled as he said, I ate a little ghost a month ago. I inhaled in one breath. In addition, who ate the pig? After thinking for a while, he looked up. I'm going to cut you open, and stare at that ugly mug of yours as you shake helplessly on that table that makes you so uncomfortable. And you decide now you're gonna cut me open? You don't intend to diagnose it carefully. As the saying goes, cut the Gordian knot with a sharp sword. Simple and crude is real. You have to believe in my diagnostic ability and moral standards. The pig's head is lying there dull and sluggish, watching a row of iron hooks hanging down from the ceiling of the operating room, and the horrible monster soaking in big jars all around him. He felt, I am a pig waiting to be slaughtered. Pighead devil cannot stand the horrible sound of blade grinding. Growls and urges impatiently, stop grinding. The surgical knife you're grinding so fiercely. I washed it in disinfectant. When I picked it up again, the light glinted sharply against it. I professionally took out a pencil, and drew a cross on the lower part of his stomach. Are you ready? Without waiting for his reply, I press a button. The limbs of the pig-headed monster were immediately locked by 4 iron shackles. He asked me if I had ever done surgery before, but I had seen my teacher butcher a pig before. That was my first patient, more or less. I was still very confident in my ability to perform surgery. He yelled in pain that he would rather not have the surgery. What are you joking about? The knives are all sharpened. Now you're saying you won't do it? Since you've come to my operating table, then I'll have to take responsibility for you. You have to even if you don't want to. In 2.5 hours, after I successfully removed the demon-boar daughter, I realized I didn't seem to have given her any anesthesia. But this guy has thick skin. Shouldn't be a problem. I made a big hole in his stomach. He can still talk. I took out the ledger, started verifying the surgery fee. It's not that I'm taking advantage of patients. I'm just worried this guy won't pay after we're done. The pig-headed fool let out a pathetic swine cry. His mind almost collapsed. His quivering voice asked me to stitch him up. I told him I have all kinds of thread here. Yarn, cotton thread, iron wire, steel wire. Each one costs differently. Although I couldn't hear what he was saying, but I reluctantly chose the best needle and thread for him. Clumsily picked up his own steel needle, walked to the side of the pig's head model, started the suturing operation, finally tied a bow on his stomach. Pull out fairy brand mace of 82. The just stitched flesh starts to heal quickly. The system reminds me that I have completed the mission. Plus 200% fear from the pig head mask. I take off the mask. Congratulate me for the perfect operation. This is an irregular evil spirit infestation. With my advanced technique, the woman is safe. Then, I saw a shadow. Trembling for a moment, she rushed out of the operating room. Clutching her belly, she bolted out of the door at an unimaginable speed. I hurriedly chased after her. Boss, is this your daughter? And this is a pharmacy, not a daycare. I thought about it. I should still call you boss. If your stomach's still not feeling well, come and let me cut it open again. Next time I guarantee I'll give you anesthesia. Oh, and by the way, take your newborn daughter away. I can't do anything with her now. Well, I have to take this little guy in. But looking at him like this, he's not bad as a snack. I have 3 ways to deal with him now. First, flay him, turn him into a soul lamp, or feed him to monsters in the dark. The third method is to soak him in preservatives, as a collectible. The first 3 options are too cruel for a child. I'll wait for the troll to come back, to take his daughter away. It will show my morality at the best level. I'll have that guy put in a bottle. I need to go out for something. So many days. I almost forgot the task the teacher arranged for me, to feed the little baby in the cellar. It's been 2.5 years. I don't even know what's in the cellar. But I still kept the principle of caution in mind. I came back to find that he began to contort, become a hideous twisted loop. In another half an hour, her visage was filled with twisted and tangled tentacles, black and writhing, evolving into an unspeakable form, let alone a pig-headed monster. Even I can't stand such an ugly turtle. I picked up the rope, and threw the ghost eagle onto the counter. Let me give you a free makeover, so that you don't scare me anymore when you come out. I will scare the hell out of people. The ghost eagle's twisted tentacles on his face suddenly mutated and became innumerable. It opened its mouth and roared at me. I slapped all those tentacles back with one strike. Be cool, man. And then reached out with both big hands, and grabbed the twisting tentacles on his face, and kneaded them like dough. The evil spirit Snow Eagle's fear is increasing wildly. Though I have never done plastic surgery for somebody else, but kneading clay is quite familiar. In short, these two are almost the same. Just then, there came in a badly burned humanoid monster from outside the door. The monster's throat made a low, sizzling sound. I would like a new face. I looked up and it was a burnt ghost. Come inside. Please wait. My surgery here is not yet completed. And then, the focus continued to be aimed at the one tied to the counter, the strangely shaped one to speed up. I work with both hands, smoothing out the creases, using a bit more force, with a swish, 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 kneading the twisted flesh of her face. The corpse bride Niels mechanically took that terrifying step forward, her body standing up uncontrollably. My fear for her kept increasing, and I directly tore my daughter in half and dragged her up. The horny ghost felt something was wrong. so he asked me what I was doing. When I heard, I lifted my head, and gave a genuine professional smile. This little imp. He's so ugly. Ugly to the point of pollution. As a doctor, it's what I should do to give him a normal face. The burnt ghost suddenly had a quiver all over his body. He froze as he recognized you. Your technique is quite unique. He watched the face of the ghost baby, like a noodle in my hand, stretching. Has he entered a black shop? At this moment, I casually pinched and burst the ghost baby's head. He subconsciously covered the blister that was burnt onto his face. In his mind, instantly there appeared the image of what was going to himself getting slapped, the screen of him getting slapped and flattened. And in the next moment, I took off the mask full of pus from my face, and showed a kind smile to the burnt ghost. I'll go to the back and get some tools. Please wait a moment. Originally, today he saw the blood play. The old pervert who wanted to make a sacrifice went out, so he wanted to try his luck. Let's see if I can tone it down a bit, and treat my own burns. But who would have thought the old pervert would leave a little pervert behind? Just then, the sound of a chainsaw could be heard from behind the door. Which plastic surgery requires a chainsaw? When I got back, I found the room empty. What happened to my third guest? A scream sounded. The first one was a customer who scared the bejesus out of me. I just think that it's in the job description that you're nice, and that customer should be nice to me. My admiration for you has doubled. Whatever the case may be, let's arrange this little monster's affairs first. 2.5 hours later, I put down the scalpel with a smile on my face. Appearance. Previously that group is horrible and unspeakable distortion. Under my careful carving it becomes cute. You need to know before I crossed over, I had always been the top in my arts and crafts class, and just then, a vine suddenly sprouted from the ghost baby's forehead. I don't feel that for someone who aspires for the finer things. By the way, I have to warn this little guy. I made this face with great efforts. If you dare to ruin it, don't blame me for operating on you again. You triggered a hidden mission. Suppress ghostly resentment. Reward resentful mage x5. So this can trigger a hidden mission. It seems that the many features of this system still await my own exploration. After the possessed ghost's hair gets attached to someone, her hair will tightly wrap around the victim's neck and strangle him. It seems to be a great self-defense tool. Her attention. He kept the ominous doll right in front of his face. Should he dare to show the slightest sign of collapse, I would immediately suppress it and correct him. Time flew by. When the night comes, it's time to turn off the lights. The soul lamp's brightness determines the day and night in this world, and nightfall is a feast for monsters. Suddenly, a man showed up at the door. I was taken aback. His profile flashed before my eyes. Okaros, human. A powerful hunter wandering through the dark world alone. His extraordinary strength is evident on the panel. The demon hunter sat before the counter. Raising his head, he searched me with his eyes. As for me, I immediately felt my skin burning. Pain started. Ding. Triggered mission to treat the demon hunter's injury failed. Punishment, being killed by the demon hunter. But because triggering tribal bonds, the penalty for failed missions disappeared. He didn't think there would be humans in this dark world. I asked him where his wound was. Then he took off his cloak and turned around. His entire shoulder was dark and reddish black, and covered with large, blackish blood clots. It was a gruesome sight. As the system alert told me, let me know that this is the poisonous dark butterfly. The demon hunter moved slightly, sneering at you. You actually know this kind of poison. It seems that I underestimated you. I just mentioned the system casually. It's just a catchphrase. Simply put, black butterflies are highly corrosive to living things. Scraping the bone to remove the poison is the best method now. The demon hunter is a bit skeptical about my surgical skills. I told him not to worry. The last guest spoke so highly of him. He asked me about any hospitals nearby, but I didn't think it was likely. If there was, it would have been taken out by the professor, because in his domain, no other pharmacy is allowed. Monster hunter's wish. Very well, let's do it. Sharpening the knife in my hand, a satisfied smile appeared on my face. I asked him if he needed anesthesia. The Witcher said, anesthesia will only affect his nerve reaction speed. That's wonderful. I've never dosed a patient with a Garbage like this. The Witcher is a bit slow. How come it started? However, this kid shouldn't do anything too evil. After all, I am the dignified. Before I finished speaking, I inserted a second blade. The severe pain made him drop the wine bottle, let out a furious roar. What the hell are you doing? I'm just looking for the right tool. These two knives are just backups, stuck in my shoulder. It's just to test the sharpness of the knife. So as a doctor, I must ensure that my knife fits your body perfectly, and the places where the knife is inserted will be cut later. You don't need to worry too much. Make damage to your shoulder. The Witcher freeze there. Damn, so reasonable. Just use those two swords. Clean my wound now. If you dawdle again, I will kill you right now. He revealed the shiny gun at his waist. First I put the surgical tools, all inside the stove to sterilize. The Witcher shivers all over. Are you trying to perform surgery with that butcher's stance? I told him. This is how we used to kill pigs back home. You have to do it with a light stroke. The meat will fall off. And what's with all the plates you've prepared? It's like you're getting ready to have a meal. Let me explain. The plates are to hold the blessings you'll be cutting out. The bottles and cans are the bone hyperplasia medicine I bought on Pinduoduo. Very well, sir. I shall begin. The sound of two knives cutting into the flesh is heard. Then the continuous hissing of cutting and refining is heard. Sound of static. But it was more than a ripping pain. It was a burning pain. It even faintly. A little soreness. Looking at the Witcher's pained expression, I urged him to get anesthesia now. The Witcher bellowed. Can you see where I'm hurting? Can you please loosen your grip on my counter? And please remove your elbows from the table's edge. This is very fine antique wood. It's very expensive. The Witcher snarled. I'll pay you double. Cut me. Go on, cut, you are dawdling. I'll chop off your hand. But at last I've waited for it. These words every customer says. Immediately, there were pieces and pieces of blackened, decaying flesh with the aroma of meat. Swish, 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 neatly flying onto the plate. Are you performing surgery on me? Or are you giving me snacks? You are not a butcher. You really suffered. The slices are amazingly uniform. I comforted him. It's okay, I am a doctor. The angel in white. You have to believe me. My attitude towards my patients is the same as towards my own child. The Witcher with trembling lips finally couldn't help but roar. Give my brother your dead pawnshop. I'll never come again. Don't worry, this guest. You'll definitely love my knife in a bit. The demon slayer was like a dead pig, lying on the counter hugging it, with white froth bubbling out of his mouth. He dreamt of a demon behind him, holding two daggers, shredded it into pieces, displaying the meat of his own body for him to appreciate. I picked up the spirits he had on the table, and mixed it with isopropyl alcohol. Glug, glug, swished it around in my mouth. Then a spurt, splashing onto the glass pane of his shoulder. The monster hunter just wants to get out of here. This pain isn't much different than carrying 100 pounds of rice to the 5th floor. But it isn't possible to leave. That's ridiculous. In order to showcase my superb surgical skills. So, I carved a heart-shaped symbol into your bone. Next time, the demon hunter will curse me out. Min took out an 82-year-old toy gun. I threw a flying knife, and stabbed the demon hunter's revolver in the barrel. You killed me when the surgery was still incomplete. It's irresponsible of you. Even if you want to kill me, you must wait for me to finish your surgery. I will never allow any of my patients to die on my operating table. The Witcher warned me not to mess around. Then he fired the sorcerer's gun at the innocent ceiling. A few minutes later, I tied the Witcher up like a dumpling. I was afraid that during the operation he couldn't bear the pain, and he would kill me. Careful there, client. This time, there will be some real piercing pain. Without waiting for a response, I begin to scrape. The monster's jaw dropped in horror, and let out a long, chilling scream. The chains on his body were about to break. He bit down on the chains. It just came to me. I should have given him anesthesia, but it's too late now. Anesthesia can't reach your bones anyway. The Witcher strained against the chains on his body, then pulled out his revolver and pointed it at me. But I directly grabbed his revolver with one hand. I was in agony. Let me scrape the poison off your wound. You've tried to kill me so many times. All of a sudden, I shoved it into his mouth. If you continue to be unhelpful with my work, I will shoot you. As a doctor, you can insult me personally, but you can't insult my dedication to my patients. Today, even if it kills me, I will cure you." The Witcher knelt on the ground and begged me. "If you say no, then no it is. Otherwise, the reputation of my medical practice will be ruined." At this moment, the fear value of the Witcher towards me is soaring, looking at his bones as too big and too hard. So I directly took out the chainsaw. Using this chainsaw would definitely be fast and comfortable. Instantly miserable. A frightened scream rang out across the sky. At this moment, a ghost wandered into the shop. "Is the boss around? I need to buy a few bottles of recovery potion." It can be seen at a glance that this ghost, not the kind of customer who leaves a bad impression. The next moment, a hand suddenly grabbed his ankle. He remained still and trembled, and reached out his pale hand slightly. A corner of the curtain was lifted, and a man with a crazy look on his face was holding a chainsaw, welcoming his customers with it. "This lady, please wait a moment. Let me deal with this customer first, and then I'll get yours for you." I've even cut the 300-year-old unwashed hair of the ghost. It simply ripped off its own foot that was being pulled, and hobbled away holding its head, screaming and rushing into the black fog. System notification. I have scared a guest into a mental illness. Personality changed from lively to timid. This damn system keeps slandering me. I turned my head and found that the Witcher was quietly walking away from me. Never mind, let's cure this patient first. 2.5 minutes later, his bones have been polished white and smooth by me. Now it's cut off. Microbes invading her skeletal parts. 1 dose of my patented osteogenic enhancer, and she'll be as good as new. But no matter how I inquire, the guest refuses to answer. Then, immediately I saw the Witcher twitching all over, countless white bubbles in his mouth. The system reminded me, made the legendary Witcher lose his fighting ability. After reward, inflict 5% more torment value using any tool. The Witcher slowly regained his senses. Upon opening his eyes, I saw my occupation-specific grin. It was practically a conditioned reflex. Bang 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 directly at me. A dozen or so shots, bang bang bang. But somehow all the bullets missed me by a hair. I tried to reassure him. "Calm down, sir. I've healed your wounds. Let's forget these unpleasant memories." The Witcher touched his sturdy shoulders, thinking back, the terrifying experience. But he found it hard to believe that it would be done so quickly. "I use top-quality flesh. Regeneration is important. Plus, your physical fitness is great." Most of the skin and flesh grew back very quickly, but the core was missing. I amended it with some meat of other animals. The Witcher gently touches it, and finds out pig hair on it hasn't been cleaned. "You have transplanted pork to me." I quickly raised my hands, indicating that I was innocent, and I can assure you, to tell you if it recurs, offering free second service will definitely leave you satisfied. The Witcher now is incredibly moody. "Are you still thinking about giving me a second service? Customers would rather die with black butterflies spreading all over their bodies. This mere pain inflicted from scraping bones, what does it amount to?" The Witcher slowly lowered the gun in his hand. "Your lad's got top-notch torture skills. A true credit to my kin. Although the process wasn't very pleasant, my injuries certainly did get cured." And asked me how much the surgery cost. Inwardly thought that I'd definitely never come to this clinic again. I said I'd cover the cost of this surgery, as long as you continue to patronize my shop in the future. He was suddenly shocked. "Your haunted hotel. Only a fool would come here." Cut the crap. I believe in fair trade. Now that you have healed my wounds, I cannot be stingy with you. Take a look at my things and pick one. He immediately spread his arms open for me to make my choice. I didn't expect there to be so many things hidden under this trench coat. His gaze immediately fell upon the sorcerer's javelin, a legendary weapon, capable of inflicting immense damage upon wraiths. Just as I reached out to take it, he swiftly grabbed it. "You kid sure can tell. Picking out the best bits of me right away. Thought I had good taste myself." The demon slayer then whips out a revolver and points it at my noggin. Indifferently pulled the trigger. On the wall behind me appeared an outline made by bullet holes. These two guns look good, but there's one fatal flaw with both of them. Just now, as I think you could see, to put it in graphic terms, he was once cursed by a demon. No matter what angle he shot from, he couldn't hit his target. In other words, I can't do anything other than force myself. After a moment of hesitation, I quickly changed my answer to no. The next second, the demon hunter fired at me again. I'm a fair person. Since you picked it, you can't refuse it. I thought I'd accept it for now, and ditch him later, when he asked for it. The Witcher looked relieved. These two guns are cursed, so they can't be dropped. You can help me handle them now. I'm much relieved. Only then did I discover myself being trapped in the demon hunter's trick. As a child since I was young, this is my first time being fooled. Demon hunter mockingly smiles. Likewise, when I performed the surgery, you tormented me no less. He kindly warned me not to go out or answer the door tonight no matter what. For some very bad people have come to this place. If you manage to live until tomorrow, perhaps we can meet again. Then with a click of his cape, it disperses into smoke. I should have picked this guy's jacket earlier. In about half an hour it will be dark. No guest should be coming. One more thing, the blood spirit infant is growing stronger all the time. I think in a little while it'll be very hard to deal with. By the way, I might as well use it to test the gun. See if it really is true that you can't hit it no matter what. A bullet flew past the ghost baby's ear. At the same time, it made it fear me more. I don't believe it. I can't even hit it face to face. He started shooting at Zine crazily. Anyway, there's still half an hour, which can be spent on target practice. The little girl was crying like hell. The spirit lamp on the goalpost. Suddenly the lights go out for no reason. The darkness outside the door becomes even thicker. Silence without a trace of sound. I close the door immediately. Lock the door with the rusty iron lock. The windows on both sides of the gate were tightly boarded up. My experience over the past 2 years has taught me that whenever a soul lamp goes out, it means that the person to whom it belonged has. They can all enter your shelter without asking for your permission, freely intruding into your sanctuary. At this time, the task of the system is only one: survive. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Len opened the door quickly. I'm puzzled. Didn't the teacher say that he wouldn't be back until tomorrow? Yet the knocking became increasingly urgent. I sensed that something was wrong. I recalled the advice from the Witcher. He then grabbed the boning knife in his hand, and suddenly stabbed it towards the door. Through the crack, blood seeped out. The monster outside was stunned. Don't you even want to be sure? First you just reward me with a knife. I haven't answered, eyes fixed on it. As the sound gradually disappears, I'm lying on it, listening to the next moment. A hand burst through the door, and grabbed at me directly. But I stabbed it to death with one strike. But I didn't expect that this ghost would have so many claws. Before I could react, I was tied up from top to bottom. Seeing how urgent the situation was, I used spirit hair right away, a single hair floating down. And the moment it touched the monsters, it started growing wildly. And soon all 12 of the monster's hands were bound up. The monster outside sensed something was wrong, so it struggled frantically to retreat. I grabbed its hair and pulled it back. This ghost isn't that strong. I should be able to handle it. His struggles grew more violent, until at last he began to convulse, his fists falling weakly. Worried that this old man would attack me from behind, I took out my skinning knife. A few more blows to the door, until the kill sound of the system rang out. Sure enough, this guy didn't die completely just now. It's just nightfall and a monster has already found its way to my door. Looks like tonight will be another sleepless night. The system now alerts you that there are roots and monsters approaching. Could he be the big guy referred to by the demon hunters in the tale? The bloody smell has attracted that guy's attention. The evil hand I just killed started shaking. Then it was suddenly dragged away. My heart can't help but panic. With a slash, it severed the vengeful spirit's hair strand hanging above the door. Waves of cold mist permeated through the hole in the door. I heard a series of crunching sounds coming from outside. One I was looking through the crack in the door. I held my breath instantly. At this point, there was only a single door separating me and him. I don't dare to make the slightest movement. The slurping sound was like someone licking the door. For some reason, a girl popped into my head, crouching down before me. The moment the slurping sound came, was unusually cute. But then I suddenly saw a blood-red, tongue-like tentacle that felt its way in through the crack in the door. Damn it, That's not cute at all. Under my gaze, he licked the bloodstains on the door clean. As if he was not satisfied, he licked towards me. The tentacle. On my face. Licking marks were left one after another. I was trembling uncontrollably, telling myself to calm down. At this moment, I heard the doctor open the door. Toothache. So this monster outside the door came to me for treatment. Let me explain. Our clinic is closed at night and never treats patients. He didn't answer. Made a move to attack. I immediately took a 91-degree bow. If it's you, it's not impossible. After I finally saw the form of that monster clearly, my heart is pounding more wildly than ever before. What the hell is this monster? Even the system window is showing only question marks. I asked him, pretending to be calm. Excuse me, what illness do you have? With cherry lips wide open, she stated that her teeth really hurt. A gust of foul odor immediately hit me, nearly making me faint. I said it's no big deal. That a toothache is just a minor problem. When I see the row of sharp teeth covered in flesh and blood on the saw blade, cold sweat pours down my back. I asked him which tooth ached. After learning that the molar, I made a decision that went against my ancestors. I turned around and walked right in. A strange sensation ran through me. At this time, the system task was triggered, cure a toothache. Yet if the mission fails, then it's all over. I understand that very well. It was natural for me to fade away when the mission failed. But inside the dentist's office, there's no light. I can't see anything at all. The cute baby then reached out a tentacle towards its eye, and directly pulled out one of its eyes, and placed it in its mouth. The pale eyeball instantly filled its entire oral cavity. Watching this terrifying scene, with fear gripping my heart, I began searching for a dental cause. And here, mixed in with all sorts of leftover food particles, I could tell just how indiscriminate this thing's palate was. Then, the next moment, my gaze instantly fell upon the back molar above, of a long spear. The Holy Spear. Legend has it facing evil spirits and bizarre, killing effect is outstanding. Seems like we've found the reason for the monster's toothache. But I never would have thought that this would be a thing that works the same way as the Witcher's pistol, not a weapon of the dark world. And then, my sight instantly fell on that molar, the large amount of broken arms and legs around. Obviously this guy has eaten quite a few doctors, while their spears could not touch this long arm. I am human. Divine forces should not harm me. I should be fine after I touch it. Here I go. That spear emitted a very dim light. And then it quickly went away. It seems I guessed right. Then I immediately used all my strength. He grabbed the spear with both hands, and kicked his hind teeth to pull it out. But all my strength only loosened it. If I wanted to pull it out again, it would become increasingly difficult. I gritted my teeth, and yelled at the excited tentacles outside my mouth. Watching the show. Hurry up and lend a hand. The tentacles immediately swarmed in, and then wrapped around my waist. One wrapped around the other. They began pulling hard outward. I asked them to stop first. Stop first, listen to my commands. I count to 3 and we pull together. Finally, the harpoon gets pulled out with the help of me and the numerous tentacles, and because of the great inertia, I got flung away. This weird thing. My favorability increased a bit. After I pulled the chi out, the blood inside kept flowing. It kept hurting the child. If you don't finish, I'm going to eat you. Without a word, I quickly rushed back to the shop, and dug. I took out a large amount of anesthetics and hemostatic agents. Now that the foreign body has been removed, the next step will be much simpler. And if we ignore the monster's terrifying appearance, it's actually quite similar too. The other guests are no different. The power of the sacred spear still remains in the root of the teeth. If you want to be cured, you must fill the skull with something. Just when I was thinking about what should I fill it with, he sees the tentacles. Do you still need this tentacle? I need to use this to relieve your pain. Not waiting for him to answer, I directly use a knife to cut off the adorable tentacle. The sudden, sharp pain made his entire body quiver. Immediately, the countless tentacles that had been peering out from the mouth rushed out violently, about to attack me. However, they quickly stopped. They saw me grab the severed tentacle, hold him down in the wooden tub. Solemn expression, forcefully injecting liquids into that tentacle. Grabbed a handful of tentacles filled with potions after 10 years. Where is the large flashlight? I was totally in the zone at that point. I jumped in. I brandished the tentacle-like prober that was filled with the concoction. I took aim at the hole. My expression was grim. And then a powerful thrust inside. It suddenly thrusts in. But it's obvious. The size of the tentacles and hand is a little too big. And the hole is so narrow. Want to have a deep DCK insert. But I still have to rely on a powerful tool. My eyes fell on the thigh of some unknown animal. Put it inside. Then pick up the human skull. Suddenly slammed down. The violent and repeated collisions made him feel a lot of tearing pain. I made him persevere. Now I need to step up the intensity. Just as I was about to get to the innermost part, that's when it felt the best. The tentacle, which I had injected full of the drug, was finally pounded by the pounding hammer into the cavity of my tooth. After hundreds of thrusts, I was exhausted. That eyeball had a dull look. It seems that it doesn't hurt anymore. I reminded him that the painkiller had started to work. If you want healthy teeth, need more processing. The tentacles licked my body. The eye moved up and down vigorously, indicating its trust in me. Meanwhile, a system alert reminded him that his trust in me had increased by 20. I asked him to wait for a bit. I'll prepare the surgical tools first. After making sure everything was ready, the heart-stopping work began. The inside of this tooth of yours, corrupted by divine power, which is also the main cause of your toothache. If you don't get rid of all this divine power inside, the medicine will wear off, but it will hurt unbearably. So we need to do a primary cleaning of your teeth, and then fill your cavity with a strong and good tooth. This is another time he has been swindled by me and his trust increased. I said, which bucket? A tentacle then shot inside the shop, and wrapped around a barrel and brought it over. I completely scrubbed all the powder off the area around the tooth. I need something serious for this filling, but the materials here are not enough. Otherwise I could give you a shiny steel tooth. And just when I hadn't figured it out yet, I immediately felt the ground shake beneath my feet. And then I saw the buildings outside rapidly receding. Obviously, this is a big head moving rapidly. At this time, he came to a gate and stopped. I stepped forward and touched it, and found that it was made of iron, not steel. At my words, the baby opened its cherry mouth, and a stream of drool spurted out. The steel door was like a mere decoration. The giant-headed baby led me to these steel goons. Their strength is beyond doubt. They are the nightmare of ordinary residents of the dark world. My teacher fought hard with him for hours. He barely managed to repel him. At this time, the baby opened its cherry mouth. Stick out your tongue, and I will instantly escape the mortal realm. As the steel golem watched in astonishment, I used a whirlwind attack to destroy the parking lot, and crush him. Although from my perspective, their attributes are all question marks, but this obvious gap is too big. The cute baby asked me if this one is enough. I quickly told him that this one is more than enough, and these were just hammered into shape. I also need your help. After a series of grinding and polishing, a brand new tooth was finally, through a series of operations by me, completely refreshed. I rub my sweaty head and smile with satisfaction. I feel my character sublimating. System prompt: I have become the first, a doctor who takes care of root-level monsters. His big head paired with that delicate voice is not bad. I won't eat you. Finally, I meet a super thigh. I have to make him my repeat customer, so I offered to him the new dental coverage I offer, as long as I'm alive. Lynn, you can come in here anytime for free, and you can try it first. Free during experience. Under my inspiration, triggered a new quest. Help the cute big-head baby clean his mouth. His mouth is simply a treasure house. You've got humans, tough guys, bits and pieces of heroes and monsters who were left behind. I happen to have a bucket of dark slime sealant here. Guaranteed to keep your teeth sparkling and white. Fresh breath. That's like the toothpaste of the underworld. Now that it's configured, let's start brushing. I take the big brush that I got from the backyard, carrying the mucus bucket bubbling with gurgles. Jump into that monster's mouth. Started his own hard-working brushing job. The eyeball curiously watches my brushing work, actually somewhat eager to try. I was relentless, causing little dusters to burst forth from our little shop. Those tentacles immediately learned from Ling Yun's example. One tentacle, One brush, another tentacle. The curious one sticks to the glue, brushing with its eyeballs. Ugly imitating my move. Then brush like this. Cleaning for 10 years straight, until the system prompts that the task is completed, whether compared with before. Has the whole set of teeth been refreshed? With such a set of sparkling teeth, really no matter what you chew, they are all appetizing. Are you satisfied with our service? The big-headed baby looks excited. I'm very satisfied. Would you like to be a lifetime member of our store? As long as I, Lin, am still alive, you will be free for coming here. The baby's subconscious blurted out and thought, it is so right. May I ask your name? This puzzled him instead. What is a name? I explained that it's what other creatures call you. Why don't I give you a name? How about Xiao Xiao? He was trembling in excitement, and licked my body with his tentacles, to express gratitude, and I became the first human being to give names to Root and the monsters, and let the other party accept them happily. My eyes followed Little as he hopped and skipped away, until he had completely disappeared from view. I immediately rushed into the pharmacy, and grabbed a hammer and some nails, and nailed the door completely shut. After all, I'm still just a human. Faced with a creature like that, it'd be a lie to say I didn't feel terror. But I still used my excellent communication skills and medical knowledge, successfully getting the Root and the monster to favor him. That Witcher must have come here with these roots and monsters, but he has never shown up in Wraith Alley. Now there's an even more terrifying monster near the alley. After an entire day of training, his overall level was raised to 5. Lin Wen let out a breath, decisively putting all 8 assignable perk points into his constitution. After being alive in this dark world for a long time, one's constitution will inevitably be weakened. That's when he recalled the system's reward, the ability to purge curses and reality. You can select one curse and purge it from the target, and extract it. 12 hours from a 24-hour turnaround. That's not exactly a long-term solution, but Lin immediately knew what he could use it for, that being working himself free. The lock that was obtained, along with the system's notification. Lin curled his lips, revealing rows of creepy teeth, although he only had 24 hours. But in the critical moment, this gun can absolutely play a huge role. Lin turned and took aim at a bottle on the table's edge. A silver bullet shot out in an instant, successfully hitting the wall. Lin fires several more shots, but none of them hit the bottle. What's wrong with the damn system? And why is the accuracy rate still so low? The system then reminds him that his firearm proficiency is 0. Lin Yin opened his dead fish eyes. He resolutely ignored the system's explanation. It seemed that it would take some practice to use this gun. After all, one can't become a fast-draw shooter overnight. Suddenly, he became interested, fired mad shots at the bottle. Soon there came bursts of blood-curdling howls. Angrily asked which foolish bird ambushed him. The system then reminded you. Hit a level 75 monster, the Dark Knight Servant. Lin rushed quickly to windowsill, removed the board, replaced with a new board, nailed it in place, then ran back to the attic, burrowed into his own quilt and slept soundly. After Lin fell asleep holding the ghost baby, successfully passed the sleepless night last night. As soon as he woke up, the various rewards from the system made Lin annoyed. Meanwhile, slimy tentacles were slithering all over his face and neck. Under the covers, all kinds of gurgling and bubbling noises could be heard. He grabs the silver Zorro from the nightstand. He reached under the covers, and fired 3 shots at his privates, at which point the system alerted him that the implant had failed. Ling Yun threw the covers back, and saw tentacles everywhere. He suddenly burst out of the quilt. I said, last night, something always wanted to get into my body. It turned out that I hugged Squidward to sleep all night, and right now, the monster with a face of a cute infant is lying on his belly, with a dull expression. Lin opens his attribute panel, and finds that this guy has reached the juvenile period. However, due to his low level of fear for spirits, it triggered the ghost-shaping task of the evil spirit Bloodhawk, which will determine the future direction of growth and personality of Bloodhawk. He probably understood the requirements of the task. Meanwhile, I am also shocked by the growth rate of this evil spirit Blood Eagle. This has happened in less than a day. It has soared to level 10. And the collapse is severe. 6. In that case, Then I will continue to help you adjust things today. Lingen reached out a hand, and grabbed mysterious fate by the scruff of its neck. Its tentacles hung limply. Due to the huge amount of fear value Lin had accumulated, made him not want to resist Lin at all. Lin grabbed hold of the two thick, slimy tentacles on his body, and then it's like stretching a noodle in an instant. You're still too disobedient. Without my consent, you just grow so many strange tentacles. This is for the growth of children. Is very unhealthy. Let Uncle Lin give you a little more plastic surgery. 10 years later, a rosy-cheeked, little porcelain doll girl will appear here, and I am really a genius. He made a monster out of the leftover part. From now on, you have to stay like this. You can't just collapse at will. Evil spirit blood causes dull expressions. Initiate initial correction of personality and growth direction. Look at this guy's attributes panel. This growth direction is too much. It's really a dark world, not guiding people to a good path at all. Fortunately, this can be adjusted through acquired learning. Solin tries an unusual approach, both threatening and flattering, in order to transform his personality from that of a brute into something more gentle and sweet. And besides the incompatible killings, love me, love my evil, sweet and adorable beautiful girl. Also a devil that spreads disaster and kills. But at present Lin can only adjust the first two items, until the second stage. It is very convenient to change all three negative options. Then, you will be a flawless and innocent lolly. Lin got up after practicing toy guns for 2.5 hours. Then, like every other day, picking up the broom and starting the day's cleaning job, and lighting the ghost lamp that awaits the next customer, putting the ghost baby on the counter, Lin sat down. See what new features the system has. At present, his skeletons have reached 2,500. I don't know if there are any girls here that meet his standards. When it opens, Ling Yun was dumbstruck. Passion Enchantress Elixir, baby tight diapers, also a lucky cat that will bring bad luck. Comparatively, the battleships of the Pang lineage and others in other systems are all noobs in front of this Ling Yun system, and you have to wait until 5 o'clock every day for the automatic refresh. But anyway, it is considered another way to get goods. The toxic slime industry. I bought it to refine a highly poisonous potion. It might come in handy. A lucky cat doll that will bring misfortune. Do you think I feel so lucky that I'd buy it to make myself miserable? Just buy it in full. I'll find a time to give it to my witcher friend. Baby diaper tights. Ling Yun subconsciously glanced at the idol the guy had put on the counter. The evil baby grew up so fast, and now it's been pinched into a human form by itself. Just thinking about how slippery it is inside is not good. So I bought the fourth item. Flesh Builder Formula. This has to be better than a cursed Maneki Nico. After all, it allows printed matters to grow big and thick, and sprout an excessive amount of flesh in an instant. Right now, happens to be the black market's day for scavengers. The back door is ominously pushed open. A friendly old lady carrying a human lantern went to ask Lin if he had any unwanted trash. It so happened that Lin had obtained a cache of severed limbs from the little fellow, and even thoughtfully helped him load them onto the truck. The scavenger was trembling. He sensed the breath of the source in the monster. Lin Wen explained, this was something he cleaned out of a patient's teeth yesterday. Providing a service to the patient is our #1 priority at Bloodmart Pharmacy. No matter who comes through those doors, you will be treated with the utmost respect. The scavengers were in shock. The seemingly ordinary human boy standing before them. You dare do such a crazy thing? Grandma told Lin. Last night, 3 root monsters came. The Slaughterhouse Street and the Madman statue next door were all eaten by the 3 monsters. Hundreds of high-ranking demon hunters and soul demons are dead. And the little one you met yesterday should be when you arrived in the Shadowlands. It seems that it was because you let us escape. Lin thought that the guest yesterday was quite lovely. The scavenger is shocked. You actually think a one-headed root and monster is cute? Indeed. In this dark world, there is no such thing as normal, especially the seemingly normal guy. But the item given by Lin was too precious. The scavenger couldn't find an equivalent. So he devoted his own heart. And this was the second cursed item that Lin received. Heart without a mask. Lin was greatly shocked. And the heart can be said to be the most suitable for the old 6. Just think of the person you hate the most in your heart, then it is a kind of torment to the heart. All the pain will be transferred to that person. Sure enough, Scavenger in the Dark are not ordinary people. Then Lin watched the old woman go away, waiting for the monster who delivers the goods every week to come. Lin paid a lot of skull coins, restocked the storage in the shop. Lin, quietly waiting for today's first customer to arrive. The spirit fire hanging on the doorpost flickered violently. Lin's pupils constricted, because the soul light flickered so violently, indicating that the newcomer's level was definitely not low. I saw a woman wearing a large red evening gown, smiling and standing on the doorstep. This is a woman that will explode if she is looked at for too long, and Lin is unable to assess her level through the system. Lin increases her vigilance, but maintains composure on her face. May I help you? Is there something wrong? In need of medical attention? The bloodthirsty vengeful spirit toyed with her curly hair. The bewitching and tender girl said coyly, I feel nothing amiss, because I just moved to this street this morning, then decided to pay my neighbors a visit. Lin smiled. The other hand had picked up the toy gun, for this monster that gave no indication of its level. The soul lamp outside the door, very unlikely to be of any great use. If he comes with malice, there's nothing you can do to stop him. That woman stepped across the threshold, with a smile all over her face and a graceful figure. At the same time, Lin heard the system prompt, you triggered Blade Alive. Lin was shocked. This crisis is probably as serious as last night's. The woman gracefully sat on the stool in front of the counter, her chin resting on her hand, gazing with a seductive smile at Boss Lin. You don't strike me as a native here. Aren't you afraid you might get eaten by the customers? Just one of his fingers, gently sliding it across Lin's chest. But Lin immediately calmed down. I'm a doctor. The customer is my god. That woman is so charming. She winked softly and said with a smile, what if I want you? He gently blew Lin, took a breath of air. Lin remained calm, with a smile on her face, seriously said no way. Sister, you're so beautiful. An elegant and graceful lady like you. Even the way you eat must be as dignified and noble as an aristocrat's. The woman smiled charmingly. Her fingers lightly brushed across her lips. Am I really that beautiful? In that very moment, under Ling Yun's gaze, the woman's face, slowly, it split open from the middle. In its mouth, a row of sharp, inverted fangs slowly grew. Thread after thread of sticky, foul-smelling tentacles squeezed out from the split face. The ghost with the cracked face was gradually approaching Lin's face, making strange hoarse noises. Do you think I'm still beautiful? But to everyone's surprise, Lin's face gradually starts to blush, and then she kisses the mouth full of tentacles. It's quiet all around. That female ghost is stiff there. That critical value that has already soared to 99%, instantly dropped to 50%. Hey, that female ghost is sluggish. Lin coughed a little embarrassingly and said, sorry, sister, you suddenly came over like this. It really makes people can't help but want to kiss you. Please forgive my rudeness, because you are too in line with my aesthetic. That ghost only knows how to conform to your aesthetic. Stinky tentacles and barbs. It's like being in a horror movie. Lin clutched her thumping heart. Since I was little, I've admired girls with beautiful teeth and long tentacles. She reached out. My sister is the type of girl who in my heart is unparalleled, like the in the sky. Lin stroked the sticky tentacles nearby. But right then, Lin's movements suddenly came to a stop. A frown appears. Sister, do you often neglect your oral hygiene? As such a beautiful lady, how can you tolerate having such a flaw? Lin decided to give her an exquisite oral care. After 10 years, a satisfied Lin looked at the female ghost in front of her with a sparkling clean set of white teeth. Do you feel that your breath suddenly became much fresher? Looking at in the mirror, his polished split mouth, the barbs inside, and the fresh tentacles, his face was dull. In fact, in the past few minutes, his mind basically went blank for the entire time. Things progressed in a direction that was completely different from what he'd envisioned. He's not only not scared, but he even looks elated. Gave him an oral cleaning. That would be the normal human reaction. Wouldn't you just scream in terror, and then run away as fast as you could? The woman reached out. She forces her split face closed. It returns to how it was before. That amorous elder sister human form Cut the crap with me. I came here this time with serious business. Did you operate on a pig's head yesterday? Ling Yun's heart skipped a beat. Could this guy be here for revenge? The female ghost narrowed her eyes. You performed surgery on him. And also dug out a baby from his belly. Lin's mind instantly conjured up the ghost baby. Lin subconsciously asked, dare to stare at a woman. Open his cute little mouth. Screaming that I am his mother. Lin couldn't have imagined that the ghost baby who loves to break down connected to this female ghost in front of us. You know what's going on. A month ago, he ate a little ghost. Unluckily, that little ghost was a part that had fallen off of me. Since he has formed, then I am his mother. The only reason I came here is to take back my child. If my guess is correct, my offspring should be taking shape as a disastrous monster now. An evil spirit made up of all the evil in the world. Once the evil spirit is mature, it will become a disaster and a nightmare for the world. Lin scares the living daylights out of everyone. If he saw his child looking all sweet and innocent now, he'd probably kill me on the spot. The girl kissed her mother on the lips, only to be body slammed by an angry mother for not being able to believe this pure and innocent girl is her biological daughter. She's an evil spirit twisted by countless grudges. Born. The daughter that was born was supposed to be more formidable and ghastly. But this guy, to think that there is a glimmer of innocence in his eyes that is normally found in a college student, in the eyes of an evil spirit, there'll actually be such a terrifying thing as purity. This is definitely not something normal dark creatures should have. That little girl stood on tiptoe, and again left a trail of water stains on her face. Her eyes were full of sweetness. That ghost is empty. The cognition that was barely established just now was shattered with a click into slag. Normally, the fragmented evil spirit that escaped from me would certainly assume a twisted form. He abruptly turns his head, his gaze wicked and wrathful. It instantly fell on Lingen's body. She screamed loudly, "It must be your doing." Lingen glared. She resolutely lifted the cute ghost baby in her arms and raised it forward. In an instant, the eyes of the female ghost were once again filled with that swaying cute baby. The evil spirit stuck out its tongue and licked the tip of a tentacle in front of it. The female ghost cackled and grabbed her own head. My whole world is crashing down. Impossible, she can't be my daughter. Absolutely impossible. This kind of collapse, it's beyond the comprehension of normal people. Like a self-proclaimed extremely ugly and dirty soul. But he has a child with pure kindness and other good qualities. At the same time, the system triggers the mission. Let the evil mother accept the fact that this child is her daughter. Lin immediately started to coax her, and picked up the cute baby in her arms. You see your lovely and healthy daughter. Shouldn't you be happy? The vengeful spirit asked Lin. Seeing your daughter looking like a ghost, don't you feel angry? Lin almost forgot that the spirit before her was an evil one. Their aesthetic is completely opposite to human beings. However, to say that he had such a cute daughter, Lin became even more excited. He wanted to be with his daughter for 25 hours a day. Lin waved his hand to dismiss the issue for now. First, let me ask you, do you really like your child to become a fallen devil? A distorted monster covered with tentacles? Do you think you like a vicious entity that attacks me on sight, or one who adores me, calls me mommy in a sweet voice, a well-behaved and sensible child? Lin fell to the ground with a thud. The little baby in her arms, the petite and thin Amy, instantly called out. The female ghost instantly trembled all over. In the malicious eyes, a trace of confusion appeared. Lin looked at her steadily. That lady, haven't you found out? When you are in human form, your every move was so confident. Especially your eyes, full of the charm of a mature woman. That kind of feeling cannot be faked. You actually secretly also really want to have such a perfect body and appearance. Your duality is quite becoming, of course. Let's not speak of the blush of battle. Though you may be an evil spirit, I do believe an evil spirit who would pursue beauty. For him then, he definitely isn't ugly, and you are definitely not like you said you were. A broken and evil monster. For instance, in my eyes, you are just so beautiful. Not just your body, but also a maternal glow that radiates from you, in a way that makes you seem more human than me. The radiant light of a charming soul. Can't it prove the truth, goodness, and beauty in your heart? The last few words. My voice suddenly rose, as if filled with shocking power, staring at him with her mouth open, standing there in a daze. For a moment, she felt a bit beautiful after what he said. So cherish it, beautiful woman. This child is the most precious gift heaven has given you. Such a cute little baby. In this world, who would really dislike it? The female ghost stood there in a daze, subconsciously stretched out its tentacles, and stiffly clapped twice. Seeing this, Lin picked up the child, to let the woman personally hold her own baby. The lady in red twists her head around nervously, not daring to look at that cute baby, hesitates as she slowly extends her hands out. Ling Yin sees this, without saying a word, hands the baby in his arms, to the woman. The demonic baby hugs the mother's neck, stretches out its little tongue and licks it. The woman is stunned, because the fragments that once fell from her body, turned into children one by one, and they are killing any demon they see in a frenzy. The same is true even for her. No evil spirit truly sees her as a mother. She's here, feeling a feeling that she has never felt before. Is this what it is like to be a mother? Finally, after a long while, the woman shook her head hard. Her cold expression returned to her face. I'm right next door to you now. When I become interested in you one day, maybe I can let you experience a man's charm. At this time, the child in his arms licked his cheek again. The serious look on the woman's face suddenly dissipated. She hastily left with the child in her arms. Lin was relieved to see this. He collapsed on the ground. He had to improve his strength quickly. Otherwise, when the woman acts on her whim again, breaking in and enforcing the law where I am at night would be terrible. Fortunately, the teacher should come back tonight. Then there was a knock at the door again. Lin's heart skipped a beat. It shouldn't be a guest again, right? An eerie coldness slowly wafted in from outside the door. In front of Lin's eyes, there appeared a burly figure. When Lin saw his level, he felt alarmed. Yet another guy whose attributes were all shown as question marks. Apparently, what his demon hunter friend had said was true. Near Waihan Alley, many really troublesome guys have come here. I need some sufficiently effective combat support potions. The Black Knight makes a hoarse sound. You will not be short of payment, Ling Yun thought. Finally found a guy who came to buy medicine normally. Please come in. You've come to the right place. This entire Wraith Alley, the only ones who can use our blood ceremony medicine, are the most high-end ones. The Black Knight is puzzled. There seems to be only one pharmacy for hundreds of miles around. Customer, what kind of assistant medicaments do you need? Lin Yun introduced with a smile, took the bottle on the table and placed in front of the Black Knight. Like this strength potion, can greatly increase your attack power. Black Knight picks up the potion, takes a sip. This potion, the boost to my fighting ability, practically insignificant. You're kidding me. Lin realized right away the danger hidden in this mission. Without satisfying this guy, he would most likely have used good tactics. Lin took out the shop's top berserk potion. The Dark Knight reached out and grabbed the bottle. He drank it in one gulp. The Dark Knight casually threw away the potion bottle. Hoarse whisper. The mixture may work on lesser creatures, but it will have negligible effect on me. Lin's eyes widened, and she quickly produced another vial from beneath the counter. High-quality potions. Guest, please try this one. Then the Black Knight tasted one bottle after another. The impatience in his heart grew rapidly. It seems that your store can't produce better potions, and dare to waste so much of my time. Lin knew that this guy was probably about to make a move. The difference in strength made Lin break out in a cold sweat. He saw that the crisis was about to explode. Lin reached out and helped hold up Floden's glasses. Be calm, our shop has another potion. I believe it can definitely meet your requirements. However, I don't have any in stock. I need to refine it on the spot. You can wait for me for a while. I'm assuring you that this is the best. The glimmering emerald eyes of the potion Black Knight expressed a bit of interest. Lin retrieved it directly from the system space. At the time the root and the monster were healed. Reward Boost Formula. A potion that can greatly increase the critical hit rate, but will also bring some negligible, strange side effects. System Reward Potion Formula. Should be much better than any potion in this world, right? Then, Lin threw his eyes, teeth and claws into the pan. His alchemy proficiency isn't very high, but following him for 2 years with constant exposure also has given a great boost to his memory. Lin N is holding a stick in front of the large vat, stirring vigorously, the thick mucus bubbling constantly with strange bubbles. A large vat of potion suddenly turned white. Bubbling and gurgling, skull after skull emerged. Lin stood indifferently in front of the vat, stirring it incessantly. The potion in the vat was constantly earth-changing, constantly between red, blue, black, purple and other colors. After 10 years, the system alerted him that he'd successfully created a critical potion. Lin Fei Express fills the potion into an empty bottle. Place it on the table quickly. Then seriously place the Crimson Critical Strike potion in hand. Push it in front of the Dark Knight. Critical Strike potion. The latest high-quality potion from our shop. You're our first customer for this particular potion. How well does it work, exactly? That's up to you. The Black Knight uncorks the potion vial. It smells revolting. It's obvious the taste won't be good at all. But what's surprising is that, just smelling the medicinal aroma, he felt a great stirring of energy in his body. It had a great effect on him. Almost at that very moment, he immediately felt a tremendously bitter, hot current, gently surging into the depths of his body. He could clearly sense that his body's power was running wild. This potion is like a wild old woman, wriggling and hot inside your body. All the blood vessels in your body are pumping. The armor on your body exploded with a bang. Hair flying. She revealed all of her pale and explosive muscles. All the years she's walked on hell's ground, she's never hit a potion that could raise my fighting strength so greatly. She suddenly turned around. He looked at Lin intently and said, "What is this potion? The effect is so explosive." His current strength has caught his attention. Crush that witcher. Lin smiled faintly, and gave a thumbs up to the specialty potion of the shop, Critical Strike potion. In the end, Lin decided to. Reminder for the Dark Knight. My lord, while the effects of this potion are indeed potent, I must still caution you that this draft does come with certain minor side effects, but the Black Knight's face is indifferent. The potion that can increase my fighting capacity by nearly 10 times must also bring some adverse reactions. And it is at this time, a gust of wind suddenly blew in from outside the door. His sexy, long hair danced wildly in the wind, flowing smoothly from his head. Ling Ren slowly raised his hand. Tell Black Knight, the side effects of the potion may be acting up, but the other party only felt very refreshed. Ling spoke weakly. Why don't you touch your head? Black Knight cocked an eyebrow, and subconsciously reached out his hand, to feel the white, shiny hair on his head, feeling incredibly silky. Suddenly, a huge sense of unease instantly rises in my heart. A short silence. The Black Knight instantly grabs Lin by the collar. Burning with shame and anger, fury hair, the rounded bald head accompanies his movement. Flickering flashes of light and shadow. Lin was anxious too. Didn't you say you're not afraid to die? Are you still afraid of these little side effects? Sure, you went bald, but you also became stronger. It was a small price to pay for strength. Gritting his teeth, the Black Knight let go of Lin's collar. His eyes flashed intensely. His mind was in turmoil. As a warrior seeking great power, balding is indeed not a difficult thing to accept. And the effect of the potion is indeed amazing. After drinking it, an increase of almost 100%. It is definitely an excellent potion. Then a flash of inspiration crossed his smooth, shiny pate. It hit him. It dawned on him. Who've you ever seen with a luminous head, complete with sound effects? Gritting his teeth, he asks Lin how much. He wants to buy all the bottles of Wong Lo Cat in the store. Lin is shocked. Didn't you say you were disgusted with the side effects of this potion? Dark Knight grabbed Lin by the neck. I'm already this bald. Could I possibly get any balder? Lin stood at the entrance of the pharmacy, looking far away at the Dark Knight galloping away on his horse, loudly waving goodbye, waving to the customers and asking them to come again. I'll give you a 99.9% discount. In the meantime, the Black Knight in new cloth had arrived deep into the wasteland, and the tall-hatted demon hunter slowly walked out of the darkness. The two sneered at each other. Today is either your death or mine. However, the demon hunter looked disdainful. 10 years ago, you were no match for me. And now you've come all this way to die at my hands." The Black Knight opened the flask in his hand. He then drained it in one gulp. The next moment, an overwhelming surge of energy erupted. The Witcher felt something was wrong. I don't know if it was an illusion. He felt as if he saw. Something flashed in his helmet. Just now. It also had some peculiar sound effects. It would seem. You've prepared some kind of amazing secret weapon. To deal with me. However, the Black Knight is contemptuous. Knights from hell. How could I possibly use such trash? The next moment, his head glows, along with a loud sound effect. But the monster slayer doesn't believe his excuse. The Black Knight looks at his own hands tyrannically. All his muscles bulge out with a crackling sound. Grit his teeth. "This is a small price to pay to beat you. Although I smeared. But I've gotten stronger too." In the words of that human kid, "My critical hits have been maxed out." Under the gleam of his bald head, the Witchers can't see his movements at all. With a roar, he leapt 100 meters, the giant sword in his hand. Suddenly slashed down at the demon hunter. 10 years later, there was a knock at the door outside Lingen's gate. The guest surprised him though. Turned out to be an old friend. The demon hunter got injured this badly. In less than a day. The demon hunter was also baffled. The Dark Knight himself has always been his defeated general since ancient times. But that guy doesn't know what he drank. Suddenly became extremely fierce. Especially that shining bald head. It's unbearable to look directly at. Every time I want to fight back, my eyes are blinded. I must find out who mixed the potion. As a Witcher, I'll cut off his. Lin learned from his description. Sure enough, I was the one who mixed that crit potion. Luckily this guy still doesn't suspect me. I have to find a way to get rid of him quickly. But then the demon hunter's eyes narrowed. He'd discovered something amiss. The bottle on the table. Why does it look the same as the bottle the Dark Knight drank from just now? The Witcher rushed over instantly, and grabbed Rin by the collar. "Nice trick. Turns out you were the one who provided the shaman with the drugs." Seeing as things had been revealed, Lingen stopped having to hold back. "A few hours ago, the customer did come to my shop. Bought a batch of potions at a high price. Very rich. Contributed 10,000 yuan in performance to my small shop." The demon hunter gritted his teeth and asked what the potion was. Seeing a leak come to the door, Lin just knew her chance had come. "Our store has a new batch of critical strike potions. A potion that can greatly increase your combat power. Enables you to land critical hits every time. An excellent choice for killing and robbing." But the witch hunter is very unhappy with Lin helping the Black Knight. "You're actually helping a skeleton to deal with a teammate," Lin explains. "He doesn't even know who Black Knight's opponent is. And you can fight evil with evil. Buy a potion from me, and defeat him with it. Now, go get him. One bottle for only 2,000 skulls, on account of you being a fellow traveler. Let's make it 8 off." But the Witcher pulls out a pistol. "It's either I kill you, or I can just loot your shop." Ling En knelt down right away. "We're stepbrothers. We share the same blood." The demon hunter's skin crawled. He shivered all over. Again, he discovered that this little boy's ability to disgust has greatly increased. "Cut the crap. How much did the baldy buy? How much can you give me?" "That's all I have got." And then Lin was overjoyed and began to prepare the potion. A total of 10 bottles, plus the 10,000 just spent on treatment. Skeletal disease. After the Witcher bought it, he always felt like he was ripped off. And that's indeed the case. Lin, he is a human. Cost him 2,000. But selling them to the Black Knight was only half the price. Lin En felt that he could still create a hair transplant service. These two bald men finally hit it off. After being beaten by the bald Black Knight, the vampire hunter bought the baldness potion from Lin En. Now he is bald, and more powerful. Two shiny heads are out of place in this dark world. Now they return to where they started. Black Knight's head flashes. The demon hunter is not convinced, and flashes twice. "I flash more than you do. Which means I am stronger." At that moment, he flickered 3 times to show off. Just like the silence before the battle at Mount Jinshan, the aura of both fighters surged wildly. Even the lights above their heads were staring at each other in a competitive way. "I'll check it out." For a moment. In the darkness, 2 exposed light dots collide continuously, intersecting and not yielding to each other. Meanwhile, Lin has reached level 6. World function has been unlocked. World. It is a virtual realm which was generated from the will of the supreme powers of the Black World, and which overlaps with the Black World. It's a mirror world that has lasted for thousands of years, as long as it's within the scope of the Dark World. Any creature of darkness can come here through special stones. You can be in the world, communicating information with other entities. If you die, you are forcibly ejected from the world. However, no great damage is done to your main body. Lin mostly understood. This seems to be some kind of, just like the modern internet, an ideological world. It can be said that in the past 2 years, because he was too weak, he didn't have the chance to leave this small store at all, let alone come into contact with the outside world of Yuan Alley, that even wider world. Now he says nothing. Spending 500 skeleton coins to enter here, Ling Yun instantly felt his brain like a heavy blow. The life of Yi Shigong has descended into darkness. However, that feeling only lasted for a moment. What appeared in front of him was no longer his own little shop. He was in an unimaginably vast. The square extends beyond the horizon. Ling Yun quickly calms himself down. Ling Yun shrugs. His gaze quickly scans the surroundings. This should be similar to the metaverse on Earth. The concept of metaverse, consciousness upload, makes it possible for people, at any time through this virtual world. And for those like him who rarely leave their homes, this is great news. People who never ventured out of their own homes came